great year at Benchmade for 2009. I've said as much in some recent knife reviews from the company, to include the 890 Torrent, the 10700 Nagara. Love both of those blades. They're just outstanding in a lot of different ways. This one's no different. This is the Model 585 Mini Barrage by Benchmade, an assisted opening everyday carry blade. I know a lot of you guys are waiting for the full-size Model 580 from Benchmade. If I can get a hold of one of those, I'll review that one as well. I think it'll be pretty similar to this review. It's just a larger version of the Mini Barrage. Here comes some philosophy. Oh no, Nutnfancy philosophy. I like the smaller blades for EDC. I've said that in a lot of different reviews. I stick to that. I really haven't changed my perspective. A large, big knife in the everyday carry or utility role, for me, isn't as useful. And I'm talking pure EDC. I'm not talking like secondary emergency defensive use. I'm talking about, 99.9% of what most users will use their blades for, and that is utility use. And the Mini Barrage, I think, would fit nicely into that POU. But I'll tell you what, let's start off the review off with this. It's not the lightest EDC blade out there. I'm a big fan of lightweight blades. Everyone knows that that's been watching TMP for a while. There are some exceptions, and guess what? The 585, for me, will be an exception. Because with the weight, which is 3.4 ounces, to me that's kind of chunky for a knife this small. But what I get in return is worth it. So, and what I get in return is an extremely fast, solid lockup, stout blade. But it comes at a little bit of a premium in weight, 3.4 ounces. I know a lot of guys roll their eyes and go, oh, that's nothing for me. I carry that all the time. I've said enough on the weight issue in a lot of different videos. For reference, the Flash 1, my reference EDC blade, what is this, 1.2 ounces, also assisted opening. Now granted, it's not going to be as strong as a blade as the 585, no doubt. But in an EDC roll, you're opening packages, you're doing some food prep, other utility tasks, maybe cutting some rope, castrating a sheep, farmers. How much strength do you need from a little small EDC blade? I don't know. You have to determine that. But the 585, even though it is a little bit chunky, maybe a little bit on the heavier side, I like it. Here's the first reason I like it. The smoothness and the speed at which it opens. I remain a huge fan of well-made assisted opening knives, to include that Flash series, both the 1 and the 2 that I've talked a lot about in my videos. All kinds of other blades out there, assisted opening varieties that are great, well designed. Some guys deactivate their assisted opening features. I don't know why. I like it. And when you get an assisted opening design like the 585 that does open with such authority and speed and locks up so solidly, left and right, no movement, up and down, no movement, it just is like a bank vault. Yes, we expect that from Benchmade. But when you get a knife like this, it really is superfluous to go with an auto blade, isn't it? I do still carry my Micarta autos for duty use. I like them. But I pretty much don't spend any more money on an automatic blade. Not with a design like this. And you don't even have to go assisted opening. You can go with a well-designed manual action folding knife as well. And again, I will roll in the Kershaw Model 1740 into this video because it makes a nice comparison size-wise, philosophy-wise against the Mini Barrage. This is a non-assisted opening flipper design from Kershaw, and I love it. In fact, I've been carrying this. That wasn't a very good open. I've been carrying the 1740 for the last couple weeks now, and I just love it. I love the blade design. Yes, I have a review out there already. You might see it in annotation. Look it up. Just a great blade shape. Not assisted opening though. No springs in this. It just has a well-balanced, well-designed flipper design. It's redundant, but great knife. So either way you go, well-designed manual action, well-designed assisted opening, it kind of negates the value and the money you would spend on an automatic blade. I think I said that in my Microtech review too. I do like autos, but money wasted kind of. Let's look at the blade on the 585. It is, and if my battery dies, I'll just join the clips. That sometimes happens. 2.9-inch drop point blades, stonewash finish, and 154 cm steel. Not too much else to say about that. We've talked a lot about the steel. I know a lot of guys out there are like, hey, Nutnfancy, do a steel video. Tell me which ones you like. I think there's a lot more people out there that are more knowledgeable in the very specifics of the steels than I am. That's why I've hesitated on doing that. I'm a user of blades. I generally know which steels are good in my own use, which have performed. I might do that eventually. But I love the blade shape. The drop point blade remains an outstanding EDC choice, don't you think? This one is flat ground from the upper spine area going down to the relief edge, not hollow ground. Remember, we can always detect that hollow grinding by just kind of running our fingers like so, and you'll detect the hollowness of the blade and the grind by doing so. Great blade shape. EDC blade. I would not classify this as a tactical folder. It's too small. You know, it's sub 3 inches. This is a EDC blade, utility knife. I always like how Kershaw in the background there and also Benchmade put their markings on their blades. I love it. This one's kind of special. It's in the first 1,000 run, number 579 of first production. There's your Osborne logo on there, since it is an Osborne design. Battery died, join the clips. I think we're looking at the Benchmade butterfly logo, and underneath you'll see model 585 there. I always like a stamped blade. I really like how Kershaw stamps the manufacture date on their blade. That's handy. I wish Benchmade would do that. Still cool though. Overall, very enamored with the blade size and shape of the 585, except for one thing. I think it's a little bit on the thick side for me. Again, this is an EDC blade, utility knife. If we were to compare it against, again, the reference Flash one, you can see it's indeed just a little bit thicker, not much, and it's not full flat ground like the Flash one on the top. So I think this one slices better. And this is from my own cutting performance test between the two blades. This slices a little bit better, maybe package opening, food preparation, those types of tasks. The 585 though still is no slouch. How's the thumb stud on there? Yeah, Nutnfancy talks to all the details on the blades. To me they're important. I think to a lot of buyers they're important too. Even the thumb stud construction. I see a lot of guys doing it now that I started doing it, copying the Nutnfancy project, but yeah, I've always done it. The thumb stud here is nice. Get good traction on it. A little bit of tension there and pop. Man, I love that. Assisted axis opening. Just love it. And I love the lock mechanism. We've talked to that in a lot of different reviews. Very solid, fast, secure, strong as well. On the 585 series, or actually also the large size 580, I believe, you have a lock on the spine of the knife. So you can lock it so you cannot actuate closed the axis lock. I think personally it's kind of superfluous. You don't really need that. A lot of guys will dig it. I definitely think it's not needed in the closed position. I've never once in any of my assisted opening knives, including some automatic axis knives in my collection, never accidentally open them, never carrying them. But you know, if you want to make sure, go ahead and slide that lock to the closed or secured position. You won't be able to actuate it. Just something to think about. While we're back here, there's your Zytel back spacer. It is not a pillar or open flow-through construction knife, the Mini Barrage. It's closed up, so you might get some crud in there, pocket lint that you may have to fish out. Actually, just blow it out with compressed air. That's an easy way to do it if you're not worried about getting it into the folding mechanism or the axis lock. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Zytel scales on this one. I would really like to see this in a G10 model, wouldn't you? Nice checkered G10 on this 585 and 580. That would be cool. These do not provide a lot of traction. In fact, they pretty much provide none in this knife. They're more for aesthetics. You can see they're scalloped out on the ends. Got some aesthetic cross-hatching going on there. It's just for looks. They don't do anything to give you purchase on the knife. And that's kind of a downside of the 585. Huh, no jimping up there. Yeah, I know, broken record. Nutnfancy's always talking about jimping, but it's so easy to put on. I mean, here's the 1740 again, the Kershaw, they got it right. There's some jimping. Yeah, it's not a huge run of it, but it's something. For an EDC blade like this, that's not a showstopper. I'm much more concerned about it when I have a tactical type knife, in other words, emergency defensive knife. That's when I would want to prevent my hand or thumb or fingers going forward onto the cutting edge of the blade. Could be a player then. Interestingly, this knife compares almost identically to another Benchmade knife previously reviewed, also the 556 series Mini Griptilian, also by Benchmade. They share an almost identical blade, 2.9 inch. Yeah, there's some differences, but not much in the blade grind between the two knives. Same steel, 154 cm steel for most 556s. This is a Cabela's only special edition. I think I showed this in the review. This is a D2 steel version, which I think is a cool choice for everyday carry. Nice blackened, but very similar. However, back to the weight issue, the Mini Griptilian is lighter, 2.5 ounces, almost a full ounce lighter than the 585. One reason is this has full stainless steel liners in it. They did do somewhat of a job of skeletonizing the liners. As you can see, as we throw the Stylus Pro light in there, you can see that they're milled out a little bit to save some weight. So good job, Benchmade, for trying, but it's still kind of on the heavy side for what you get, 2.9 inch ounce. I keep hitting that tripod, sorry. How's the clip on it? Let's compare it against the Mini Griptilian clip. This is a reference clip, this one here on the top. I've talked to it on the 940 series and a lot of other videos. You guys are probably getting tired of it by now. This one they call a split arrow design on the Mini Barrage, and I don't mind it. I think it's fine. It has a little bit less metal in it than a standard Benchmade clip. Another advantage, at least as it's mounted on the 585 Mini Barrage, is how low it carries in the pocket. More of a function of the knife itself than the clip. You can see that at the apex of the clip, this Mini Barrage has a very abbreviated end to it. So there's not a lot sticking out of your pocket, even though the clip does not terminate all the way to the end of the handle, a la Flash 1 style with their bayonet series. See how that carries deep and just buries it all the way in the pocket. Really love that one. The Kershaw Energy 1740 is really kind of a goofy design. It's got that butter blade, Wizard of Oz look going on it, and then if we stack them close to the apex, you can see, especially between these two blades, how much more will be sticking out of your pocket. I think some guys will say, well, I like, the knife sticking out so I can access the blade quicker. Not me. What I find that this does, the more I have of a blade sticking out, the more likely I am to lose it. I know I've said that before. And also the more likely I am to scratch a vehicle when you walk past it. In fact, when you walk past a car, you're wise to just put your hand over your blade sticking out of your pocket. Otherwise, you're going to gouge your car or truck or whatever you're riding in. I've had friends do it to their vehicles with their knives and not even know it. I was like, dude, you just totally gouged your car with your knife. Did you know that? And they're like, what? Yep, sticking out of the pocket. So it's good to bury it. I like the 585 squared off design in the back. Like it a lot. Clip is good. Carries nicely, deep. It's got that design feature, the arrow, whatever it is. I'm glad Benchmade and Osborne opted for a tip-up carry configuration for the 585 Mini Barrage. Always preferred by me. That's because I'm right-handed, and that's the quickest presentation. I can come out of the pocket, actuate it with my right thumb. If you're left-handed, no worries. You can switch it side to side, as accommodated by the design. Very nice job, Benchmade. There's your mini torque screws in the design. You can take your handle slabs off, and you might have to do it to clean it. You might have to do it to adjust the pivot point. You can see that this pivot point here has no adjustment feature on it. Underneath here, it's hidden under the Zytel scale. So you might have to take it off. I think it's unlikely, judging from my other Benchmades. I just have never seen them develop any wiggle side to side. Even my hard use ones, they always seem to lock up tight and stay that way over the years. So yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more, even for this one, the 585 Mini Barrage. Value is always in the eye of the beholder. For us to criticize each other on what is valuable is foolishness. Reference my two kinds of cool video. what's important to you and what you spend your money on. You know, maybe you go out and buy a carton of cigarettes. To you, that's, you know, what you want to do. You know, but maybe you go out and spend, you know, $150 on a knife. To you, that's what you like. It turns you on. Well, that's your job. You know, that's your prerogative. We cannot criticize each other on that. Now, if you want to talk about the objective features of design, how it accomplishes its role, then that's a different issue. That's a first-time type of cool, and I spend a lot of time, like in this video, talking to those features. But this one has it both. It's going to be an outstanding EDC blade, utility blade, for under $100. I would say about $60 to $70 depending on where you go. Right now it's kind of hard to find, as are all Benchmade designs. I don't know what's going on with Benchmade and why they're not stocking the dealers. There's a lot of their knives that are out of stock now. 585 is no different. I think for most users, quality users of blades, this represents a value purchase. Yeah, it's going to be more than even the other knives that I've shown you. The Flash 1, the Energy Model 1740, even the Mini Grip 556. Maybe not this particular D2 version, but other ones like it. Yeah, it's kind of pricey and kind of chunky. It's heavier than all of these knives, a little bit more expensive than all of these knives. But guess what? Guys just love it. They love the Barrage. An assisted opening axis mechanism, something that has not been done before that I know of from Benchmade. And it's very solid in hand, very ergonomic. I forgot to mention that. Both in reverse and standard grip. That's the 585 Mini Barrage. So yeah, I would say relatively high value, super durable, well designed, fast, smooth knife from Benchmade. Another good design. Thank you, Benchmade. Thanks for tuning in. Good ratings, for all the support. No, Nutnfancy is not going to change with its success. I'll continue to do the knife and the gun reviews. I always just try to make my videos better, more entertaining, more informative. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.